There were homes built for 200,000 families. And now the family population has dwindled down to about 100,000, and how this surplus of homes, then I began to realize really the value of a land bank. What would happen if we had all those homes and nobody to kind of navigate what happens?
I'm Deb Cherry, and I'm the Genesee County Treasurer. I'm also the chair of the Genesee County Land Bank. When someone doesn't make their payments, or they've abandoned their property, or it's really blighted, that's often the case because they have abandoned those properties, after 3 years of non-payment of taxes, we will foreclose on those properties. And those properties then go over to the land bank, and the land bank then manages those properties for the treasurer and really finds alternative uses in the long run for them.
The land bank accepts these properties basically to create an opportunity to position them for reuse. The agreement that we currently have with the Genesee County Treasurer is that the land bank will accept all these properties. It's not required under law that we accept these properties. We just accept them because they're better off in our hands than basically in nobody's hands. If nobody's paying attention to them, they're going to be worse off.
In a previous life, I was the Genesee County Treasurer and one of the founders of the Genesee County Land Bank. The land bank is a decade old, but the work really started in 1999 when we reformed Michigan's tax foreclosure law. Back then, abandoned property, unpaid taxes led to private speculators gaining control of those properties, making a profit on the uncollected taxes and gaining control of abandoned property with no concern about what happens to the surrounding properties or to the neighborhood. The effect on neighborhoods is pretty obvious. You don't have to go very far to see what happened. To not be able to control the disposition of those properties and to give away money to speculators as a part of that process just didn't seem like a system that was working for us. So the land bank was created rather than simply allowing those conditions to continue, allowing vacant properties to fall into the ownership of out-of-town investors and let the neighbors just deal with the consequence. The land bank steps in and takes responsibility, is willing to take ownership of those properties, knowing that with that ownership comes scrutiny, often criticism, but what really comes with that, the willingness to do that, is the ability to make a difference in the lives of people who live in Flint's neighborhoods, in Genesee County's neighborhoods. One building, one house, one empty lot at a time, the land bank has made a difference. And it's because the people associated with the land bank, the people who work there, the people who support it, are willing to take responsibility for the conditions in their community and take the scrutiny that comes with it, is why the land bank has been able to be the transformative organization that it is. So after 10 years, it's hard to believe it's been that long. Congratulations to the land bank for great success.
The land bank believes that its work will be more meaningful, effective, and fair when informed by the insights and experiences of the community. It engages with the community in a variety of ways.
So the large majority of properties that the land bank holds are residential properties. Over 95% of our properties are residential. That means these properties are located in neighborhoods, and again, mostly in the city of Flint. And so the land bank has a presence because we physically own and hold these properties in neighborhoods all over. And that is why it's especially important to stay connected to residents and stay connected to the community. We have many different ways where we try to connect with the community. We have a citizen advisory council that's made up of 18 representatives who represent each of the county districts as well as each of the city wards. We also have a community outreach coordinator, Renetta Speed, who on average attends about 400 community meetings per year. She's out meeting with block clubs, neighborhood associations, attending community events, and bringing information about the land bank to the community, and again, bringing information from the community to the land bank.
I say my job is 24/7. I might as well have a land bank shingle on my house because I live right off of Saginaw Street. I live in the house that I grew up in. Everybody knows where I live. I'm not referred to as Raynetta. I have this nickname, the Land Bank Lady. When I ran for public office, Margaret Perry, who was a trustee at the time, the one thing that she told me, and it has never left me, stay in touch with the people. And that's what we do here. We stay in touch with the residents in the greater Flint community. And that's why I like this job so much.
We understand the importance of building trust. And we understand that there is a history of government making decisions in neighborhoods, especially in black neighborhoods, that weren't always in the best interest of residents. And we understand, as an arm of county government, that we have a long way to go to build trust.
It's very important to have a land bank that's centralized and concerned about properties and homes and what do we do with them, managing them. And I think over the years, through Raynetta Speeds and the community involvement in helping the community to understand the real purpose of Land Bank and how Land Bank is also willing to work with the community in shaping the right response, I think a lot of bridges have been mended and connected with the community.
Since day one, the Land Bank has promoted affordable home ownership. These houses, once vacant, are now occupied by community members who pay taxes and value responsible property ownership.
I've been executive director of the Land Bank since 2008, and during that 6-year period, I've watched the Land Bank really grow in sales. Since the Land Bank has been in operation, we've sold over $24 million worth of property. That $24 million worth of property has gone back on the tax rolls and is helping generate funds for every unit of government in Genesee County. The sales the Land Bank makes is typically to people who are going to become homeowners. In the last several years, we have been selling more and more properties to first-time homeowners on land contracts. Over the years, we've sold over 1,700 properties to homeowners under land contracts. These are typically first-time homeowners who otherwise could not get credit or own a home.
The first time I heard about the Land Bank, I heard that the Land Bank was refurbishing houses in the Genesee County area. And then they were selling them to people at affordable prices with flexible terms. And I thought that was wonderful.
I'm a Flint resident, been here since the 50s, and I bought a house from Land Bank. I was living across the street and I was renting. And when I found out about the house and what easy access it was to get the house and how low it was, the price of the house, I thought I was blessed and I acted promptly. Land Bank, they worked with me. I mean, it was almost like a blessing. Land Bank enabled me to at least have a dream of owning my own home. My favorite thing about owning this house, I can come in, sit down and relax, knowing that it's mine and I don't have to worry about no one saying, well, you gotta leave or you got to go, as long as I pay my taxes. Because the house is paid for. I paid for the house in 1 year. The house was $1,800. That's what I paid for the house. And I was grinning from ear to ear. I don't think that in the 3 years I would have been able to buy a home just, off the market or anything like that. I don't think I probably would still be renting if it wasn't for Land Bank.
We purchased the home at the beginning of 2012. And it was through Habitat for Humanity. We came here from Fenton, and through a unique set of circumstances, I guess, we had no intentions of moving in this direction. If anything, we were looking to move more rural, more into the country. We wanted acreage, we wanted no close neighbors, Now we share a driveway with a neighbor and are in just blocks from downtown, but we love it.
My favorite thing about the house is its character. It's a 3-story brick house built in 1910, and so the outside is charming.
Corey, our son, just recently finished high school and is in college now and was able to buy a land bank house himself in a different neighborhood. Loves it. It was
A loan from Bank of Mom and Dad.
yeah.
The advantage of the way the land bank conducts its sales is that, number one, they're negotiated sales, sitting across the table from a purchaser that you know, that's not just on the internet, speculating on the value of property in Flint, but an individual that wants to invest in this community. The likelihood that that property will not only become a better property itself, but will help the neighborhood and actually support the property values in the surrounding area. It's not only proven anecdotally, because you can go into these neighborhoods and you can see it, but the data supports it as well. It's very clear that the difference between auction sales and these negotiated sales where the land bank finds a responsible owner and works with them to find terms that actually makes the deal work, as opposed to just saying yes or no or to taking the highest bid, it's making a huge difference. And it starts with the principle that the land in Flint is just like land anywhere else. It's real estate. And if somebody goes to sell their house in a suburban community, they don't put the property up for auction. They want to have a negotiated sale because they know that that is going to produce a much more responsible purchaser at a better price and under better conditions.
Although the land bank handles mostly abandoned houses, it also receives and repositions commercial buildings. These buildings, once vacant, are now occupied by businesses that employ local citizens, pay taxes, and fuel the local economy.
We've sold property to small business owners and others who have used property for anything from a parking lot to a barber shop.
My name is Jason Keys.
And I'm Tamara Keys.
And we're the owners of Masters Beauty and Barbershop Incorporated. And we purchased the building from the land bank in 2005. Initially, we purchased it and we were only able to open the barbershop portion first. But after like a year and a half of being open, we acquired a small business loan that allowed us to do, a lot of updates that we wanted to do to the building and then open the beauty shop. The benefit, I want to say, of dealing with the land bank was it was really convenient. It was like personal and easy to talk to them, versus going to a bank where sometimes you have to, go through several channels and wait weeks to hear. 4 other barbers besides myself. Altogether, it's 5 of us. And we're all self-employed.
There is a total of 4 of us, including myself over here, all girls, and we're all hairstylists. So we have a barbershop on that side and we have the salon over here, so it's kind of like guys and the girls.
When your customers love what you've done that much, it's rewarding. I'll tell you something else that's rewarding is when you have customers that grow up on you. Without the land bank, the idea of owning a commercial building would have possibly been non-existent. If we had have stepped out and opened our own shop, which probably wouldn't have happened, we would have been leasing the space somewhere.
Over the last 10 years, the land bank has been involved in a number of development projects that have been pretty substantial for our community. 4 of them that I'd like to mention are the Durant Hotel, which sat vacant for over 30 years and was redeveloped into the Durant, which is now an apartment building with some commercial space. They have about 150 beds and they're virtually all occupied. It's been a very great project. It's about a $30 million development project right in the heart of the city of Flint. We also have the Land Bank Center that we're in right now, which was developed by the Land Bank in another commercial building that sat vacant for about 30 years. This had previously been the Hughes and Hatcher Men's Store. It's now the Land Bank Center, about a $5 million development that houses the Crim Foundation on the first floor, the Land Bank on the second floor, some commercial space on the third floor, and another 7 residential loft apartments. We also developed the old Barrage Hotel. The Barrage Hotel had been a halfway house for people for a number of years and was really in disrepair. It was an older building, and the Land Bank redeveloped that into Barrage Place, which, along with the Tinland House that sits next door to it, has 21 apartments and 2 commercial spaces. Another development project we've been involved in is the former Great Lakes Technology Center, which had been redeveloped by General Motors out of the former Fisher Body plant on South Saginaw Street. The Great Lakes Tech Center lost tenants, and General Motors was about to demolish the building when the Land Bank stepped in and convinced GM to allow us to take over the building and try to have it redeveloped. We were very fortunate to strike up a relationship with Dr. Shaw and the Insight Institute of Neurosciences and Neurosurgery, who've now taken that building over and have pledged to put about $14 million into the redevelopment of it. A fourth project that we're really proud of is the old Oak School, which we took over about 10 years ago and sat empty for about 15 years. That building has now been developed by Communities First into the Oak Street Senior Apartments.
We do appreciate that they're on the lookout for land sharks and people that are trying to come into our city and just buy up a bunch of land and don't care about the city of Flint.
Thank you not only for just saving the communities, but thank you for thinking about the individuals actually within the communities and what's actually going to take place in the future.
When all these projects are done and the millions of dollars that go into them, they not only add tax base to the city, but they've also put people to work. We're proud of the fact that a lot of local companies have been involved in the development of these projects.
Land Bank crews work hard to remove blight. The crews mow tall grass and remove trash from all vacant properties in Flint. Not only do the crews improve the appearance of the neighborhoods, they also provide jobs for local citizens.
In 2009, when stimulus money was available from the federal government, we found ourselves in a nice position of being able to add about 75 people to work on blight maintenance crews in the city of Flint. These were weed and trash abatement crews that pick up trash, mow grass, take down high weeds, and board and secure houses. In that period of time, and in fact since 2009, we have removed from the city of Flint tons of trash, some of which had been sitting there for many years. The first year that we were on the program, we removed 1,500 tons of trash. The second year, 600 tons of trash. We've been removing about over 450 tons of trash every year since. It's a program that really helps the community. The neighbors really appreciate the work that's done. The neighbors actually will come out and help the crews, give them water and thank them for being there. It's been a very rewarding project for us.
Land Bank hired me. I was excited about it at first because I ain't had a job working outside in Flint. So I was just like, hey, let me give it a shot. And I've been here ever since. It's been going on 4 years now. So I've been hearing good things about it. People had got houses from them and just was like, hey, work it out. We go through the city of Flint. We cut abandoned houses that are in distress, picking up trash and making sure that the grass is cut.
I grew up in Flint. I worked for a venture out in Grand Blanc for 9 years, and my job got sent away to Canada, so I ended up taking the job programs at Mott and found my way here. I feel like I'm helping out to do positive things for Flint. I think without the land bank, there would be a lot more blight. Oh, it makes it look a lot better. It's amazing what it looked like before we come through, and then after we come through, it looked a whole lot better.
I grew up here in Flint. I've worked here for this is my 6th summer. Before I was working for the land bank, I was a manager of a 3-quarter house, like of a substance abuse home, you know. And I had a problem with substance abuse myself, but now I've been good from drinking and alcohol for 8 years now, so, and it really impacted my life a whole lot. A lot of things has changed in my life because of the work, that I do, and well, it just helped me so much tremendously. It changed my life a whole lot, and 51 years old, I had a daughter at 50, my only child, and it's just wonderful. I just feel good about everything about that, about the job and everything. And then I learned a whole lot from being here too within the 6 years. Like I said, the biggest thing for me, I learned how to drive a trailer and a tractor. That's something I never did. I call myself a guy from the city. Now I do stuff, I think that's country work, but so now, everything with me, it just changed my life tremendously. I'm a happy person today.
I grew up in Clio, graduated from Clio schools. I've been in construction my whole life. My dad's been a licensed builder since 1978. So that's pretty much all I've done. And when I heard about the land bank and they were looking for knowledgeable people to do construction aspect of it all, I was on board, and I've been on board ever since, and it's been great. Well, when you get there from the outside, it usually looks fine. But when you go inside, the power's been turned off. There's probably 5 feet of water in the basement. So they get that all out of there. We clean the house out if there's anything in there as far as people leaving couches, clothes, beds, whatever. Clean it right out to the point where we can start working on it, fixing it up, painting it, cosmetic mostly, make it just look nice and people can rent them or buy them. We'll be saving houses on blocks a lot of times, so it won't be considered a demo or the property just be unmaintained. If we don't go in and do what we do, then it could go on a demo list, and it's a perfectly good house. So we want to try to save as many as we can, and I'm here for the long haul with the land bank, so I appreciate everything they've done for me, and I'm here to do the same for them.
People who are involved in cleaning up their own community not only receive compensation in the form of wages for that, but it's a way to participate in the kind of work that gives you some real pride and satisfaction. It's made a difference, obviously, to put people to work helping to maintain these properties, not just because the properties look better, but because it's meaningful work that connects people to their own community.
Demolition is one of the land bank's most well-known and popular activities. Residents and community members share time and time again that demolishing eyesores from their neighborhoods makes them feel safer and improves neighborhood surroundings.
I do remember the first demolition, and I remember thinking to myself how fast it was. And it occurred to me then that the demolition was the easiest part of demolition, actually tearing the house down. The other parts of it were more difficult. But I do remember watching this house that had sat empty for so long. It was early in the morning. The neighbors came out because they saw something that they hadn't seen in a while, and that was somebody taking responsibility to take care of their investment, to do something about what they had to look at every single day, rather than just waiting for somebody else to do it or waiting for some other agency of government. Land Bank stepped in, and now that story has been repeated thousands of times. Sometimes you don't think about demolition as being progress, but if you live next to an abandoned house or across the street or around the block, seeing that house go from being an eyesore and something that you're afraid to have your kids walk by into a community garden, it changes people's lives. It's really transformative.
I'm fortunate to be able to experience the land bank coming in and doing a wonderful thing in our area, which is demolishing several houses that needed to come down. It has changed this neighborhood for the better. Since the demolition, there have been several neighbors just out standing, admiring the aesthetic beauty that we have behind us, seeing that all those properties are torn down and we have the openness. I've seen people sitting on their porches that I hadn't seen, just sitting and relaxing. Also, I see people now with their front doors open more. And I think people are feeling a lot more comfortable with the abandoned houses here being gone. We had overgrown brush, we had graffiti, we had illegal dumping, we had trash. We are so appreciative for the work that you're doing in our Genesee County area. Keep it up. We are really in need of a lot in this city, And we know that you have an awesome task, but we know that you can do the job.
In the past year and a half, through the land bank and the county's efforts, we removed close to 90 structures in Mount Morris Township. They went through and removed blighted structures on streets, and the adjacent property owners now, instead of looking at a structure that's there, the county land bank, through eliminating that problem, now you have a nice vacant lot that they bring in topsoil, they seed, and it makes it a pleasant area to live next to. With 90 structures that was removed without the county land bank, there would probably still be 89 of those structures still standing. And it's helped the economy. You put the demolition people to work. You help to domino effect the money because they have to buy gas, they have to feed their families, they shop at stores, and it keeps the residents in the community here, and it keeps them alive and working and makes them contribute to the system.
If you was here 2 years ago, you would see 2 gutted out apartment buildings. That was an eyesore to the whole neighborhood and also to this part of town. Through the years, these buildings, not only this one here, but the one across the street, have had several owners. And all of the owners, particularly the last one, expressed a total disregard for the upkeep of the buildings. And that could be readily seen by the trash route through the area and also the dumpsters, which was never emptied. And by the dumpsters never been emptied, what that caused was rodents to migrate into the surrounding neighbors' homes. So we was elated when we heard about Land Bank was going to demolish these apartment buildings. Now that we no longer see the eyesore, we have a better sense of pride because we no longer have to look at these eyesores, and it's really, really embarrassing when you're trying to direct someone to come to visit you. You would have to point out, well, turn right or left at the gutted apartment buildings. If Land Bank had not stepped in, we'll be looking at 2 gutted buildings. They'll be infested with vagrants and also other crimes going on daytime and nighttime.
There are more than 14,000 vacant lots in Flint today. These lots, where houses and buildings once stood, are woven into the fabric of the city. The Land Bank works to promote responsible reuse of these lots in a variety of ways.
The Land Bank has a program called Lots Available. There's 3 different ways that you can access these available lots. The first is the Adopt a Lot program. So that's a 1-year agreement where you agree to just take on the maintenance. So if you're an adjacent homeowner, then there's the Side Lot program. So for that program, we will sell you a lot for $25, it's $64 out the door, and you can buy the side lot next to your house, fence it in, combine it with your yard, use it as an extension of your yard, and we have a lot of homeowners that take advantage of that. If you think about Flint, when it was developed, all these houses had basically no yard, and so now people have this opportunity to expand their yard.
I bought this property from the Land Bank in 2006 to extend my yard and use it for gardening. I purchased the lot for $1 and the processing fee, and it was cheap because it was a vacant lot, and before it was a house there and it was vandalized, people were staying in it, in and out of it. I really wasn't comfortable, and I was happy that it was torn down. And this way I could kind of keep it up. I don't know, I just like it because it's, it's nice yard, open space. Without the Land Bank, I might have had to move.
Spring Grove is a 4-acre natural wetland area, really close to downtown Flint. Came into the Land Bank through tax foreclosure. It was completely overgrown with this invasive species called canary reed grass or Phragmites, and it was just really a mess. It had been used for many former industrial and commercial uses over the years, but it was now just this vacant space with a spring in the back and 2 giant silos in the front. So there were dumping piles from places where people had pulled right up to the edge of the treed area and just dumped usually building materials, looked like contractor waste, a lot of it. And all of that was removed when it was restored into this natural area to help transform the area into what it is today, which is a natural area, spring-fed, and one of the very few places in Flint that have this natural spring and wetland area. We've seen lots of birds, herons, egrets, ducks, lots of waterfowl, fish in there as well, somebody put fish in it, turtles, deer, and even red fox. So it's pretty unique. We've been leasing the site through the Lease a Lot program. So we have a 5-year lease, and so it's being held by the land bank still for the neighborhood's use. 4th of July, it's a great place to watch the fireworks, so the neighborhood has had a couple of potlucks and parties out there for the 4th of July. If the land bank hadn't received the site, it would probably still be full of the invasive species. It would be overgrown. There'd probably be still more dumping happening there. You know, it wouldn't be a place for the neighborhood to come together and watch the fireworks. It'd just be another kind of forgotten place.
One of the concerns that we had when we heard about the land bank demolishing the buildings, we immediately assumed that it was going to be high grass. We was really pleased when Mrs. Speed came up with a proposal of planting clover as a ground cover. And as you see here, we have this beautiful clear space here on both sides of the street.
So why plant clover? In Michigan, grass grows and it grows tall, and when you have all this tall grass, unfortunately, people see that as an opportunity where maybe they can go and dump some trash they needed to get rid of, they couldn't find a trash can for. And so it invites tall grass, invites dumping. It makes people feel like this area is not being maintained. The kind that we're using is called Dutch white clover, and it only grows 12 inches tall. And when you see a lot of clover, it looks a lot like grass. It's a nice ground cover. It stays green during droughts, and it fixes nitrogen into the soil, so it improves the soil condition. So if we just mow it in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, it does pretty well at crowding out other weeds, and then you've got the look of a maintained area without having to put all of the level of maintenance into it.
Clean and Green awards stipends to community groups who maintain vacant properties in their neighborhoods.
We also, through our Clean and Green program, have engaged thousands of residents in the maintenance of properties. And again, that program is based on trust and respect for the residents that are doing the work.
Initially, when we were saying Civic Park, people were saying, well, it's not on our map, it's not what we're going to do. But over the years, we began to see with our relationship with the land bank and the Clean and Green program. Clean and Green was a program that was being used in the city. We basically realized that that is a great component that we could use in the Civic Park neighborhood. It starts in early spring, and we're able to get volunteers, and with the stipends we get, we're able to pay a few workers to work with us, and we usually engage them. And then we've got a lot of people from the community who teach the young people how to use the weed whackers and things like that. So it has really become a community effort here. In springtime, they expect the young people to be out on the streets cleaning. We've watched the neighbors, people we never met before, come outdoors and bring them water and bring them little sandwiches at times. We've watched police officers stop and go in their trunks and give them lawnmowers because they're so excited to see young people working in the community. It serves a tremendous purpose. It engages young men and women who are idle in our communities. It gives them a skill. It gives them the ability to reconnect with something that's positive in the communities. So even if they are abandoned, we can cut the grass, trim it, and make it at least safe looking. It's also helped us tremendously to reduce vandalism. If properties look like someone's taking care of them, it curtails a lot of the vandalism because that property is accountable for. Land Bank has allowed us through the Clean and Green program really to help young people put guns down and pick up equipment to make the neighborhood better.
Through Clean and Green or through other programs, we've been able to build trust with key leaders in the community, and they understand the challenges that we face in holding this huge inventory of problem properties with very little resource to actually address those problems. And having these advocates or allies in the community that are actually out showing and explaining to other people that we're doing the best we can with the resources that we have and we are making a difference has been a huge asset for us.
It's been a learning curve for the community in understanding Land Bank, and I think it's been a learning curve for Land Bank in understanding the community. And I think Flint will be a better place because both have been willing to learn.
So the Land Bank accepts this huge inventory of tax foreclosed abandoned properties, yet we do not have any dedicated revenue source to address the challenges that we face with these properties. And over the years, we did receive some funding from the county, and over the years we have been able to leverage resources from the state and the federal government to address some of the challenges on these properties.
I think this is the way America's going to have to reshape its urban communities.
Every year it's a challenge for us to secure resources for the work that we're doing with problem properties. And every year our inventory grows. So our challenge in the future is to continue to secure funding for our interventions on these blighted tax foreclosed properties. And hopefully to secure a sustainable source of funding so that we can plan for the work we do each year.
We are a change agent for our community.